Welcome back to the offensive line. It's just me today, Hanson. No Josh. He's off doing Josh-related things, joshing around a little bit, looking up some football terminology so that he can come back and impress us all with all of his knowledge. For this final video in our series on the supernatural, we're answering the question, what are heaven and hell really? So we wanted to do something special, so we went out and took a general survey from the public. What do they believe about heaven and hell? Do they believe in heaven and hell? Where did they get this information? Check it out. What do you think about heaven and hell?
So culturally, I was raised to believe in reincarnation, that once you die, there isn't actually a heaven or hell. There's just, you get cycled right back into life. Personally, I'm still very confused. I'm not really sure where we're at. I'm not sure if there is a heaven or hell. I feel like when we die, it just kind of ends. And all these concepts that we try to think of, it's because out of fear of death that we're trying to really hope that there is something more.
I was an atheist, but at one point I realized I don't really know what's going on, so anything could really be happening, I think.
Do you believe in heaven and hell?
No, I don't. I don't really believe in an afterlife. I'd more the biological way. I think you just die and that's it, really.
I don't necessarily believe that they exist, but I do agree with him that they serve as a good foundation for providing moral principles for a lot of young people growing up.
I do think that there's something beyond dying. I'm not sure exactly if there's a heaven and hell, but I also agree with them that there's moral principles that come with learning about heaven and hell.
Yeah, basically what everyone already said, the moral principles with everything.
Okay. Specifically, I think that heaven can exist, and I think that hell can exist. What forms they take, I don't think I could ever know. But I do believe that they are probably, somewhere, something.
Do you believe in heaven and hell?
Spiritually, yes. Yes.
I do believe that it's real. As physical places? I'm not really sure about a physical place. I'm not sure how that would work. Maybe like some spiritually?
I definitely believe that there is a heaven and there also is a hell. Now, I'm not necessarily sure how you can differentiate the two. With all things that are going on in your life, you may feel like this right here is hell. You may feel like that when you die you'll go to heaven, but at this exact point now, I can say that I'm probably somewhere in limbo with just all that's going on. It's just a big blur right now.
What is your picture of what heaven and hell look like?
Well, heaven definitely is just a peaceful, I guess I would say it's what everybody's trying to achieve now, a level of relaxation. No wars, no anger, no fighting, versus hell is still turmoil, much like we're experiencing during this COVID crisis.
Do any of you believe that it's an actual place, or these are actual places?
Not necessarily. I don't think so. It's more just all about the moral teachings of it.
I personally do not believe that they're actual places.
Just like a mental kind of just like state, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and for me, I don't believe it's a real place.
Okay.
Like, it's more of you're putting your mentality in hell. Like, if you feel like you can't do something, like if you just can't go on, there's nothing that you want to live for, I feel like you're putting yourself in hell. A heaven, a place of where everybody is happy, outgoing, and not dealing with any kind of misery or suffering. I feel like even in heaven, there would be at least one person that's
not wanting to be there.
Pretty much.
I feel like a lot of that, it's mainly metaphorical rather than like a attempt at like a straight up depiction, because I feel like if there is going to be a heaven and a hell, it's not going to be something that we can inherently like conceptualize, because it would be so different from what we have in the material world that we wouldn't really have any kind of like frame of reference for it.
I think it's like a nice concept to have, like maybe as like a coping mechanism to like get through life and like maybe have yourself like be a better person, but I'm not really sure about that concept of being like a physical place. I don't have a solid belief, but I lean towards that there's nothingness, like equivalent to before you're born where you don't really know anything, just empty.
Maybe heaven is just where you get reunited with all the people from your life, all of your loved ones. Stereotypically, you know, big pearly gates, one of the saints there waiting. Hell, a fiery pit with the devil. That's kind of what I believe the Bible, that's the image that the Bible puts across. Some people say it's, you know, you're just getting tortured for eternity.
Well, I know that good people go to heaven, the ones that don't commit sins. And hell is the ones that are just the bad people, the ones that don't like forgive themselves for all their sins.
And how did you come to this conclusion?
Mostly my parents, because they're religious, and yeah, they've just taught me as a kid like what's right and what's wrong.
Well, I guess maybe growing up with the Catholic religion influence and just quotes and sayings that kind of talk about the difference between heaven and hell, they've kind of provided that picture.
I went to Catholic school for many years of my life.
Well, I was raised Catholic in a pretty Catholic household, but I've always been sort of on the science side of things in my life, and like a lot of things just like don't meet up the way that that like makes sense in my head. So I just sort of, I don't have an issue with like just like dying and being done, so I feel okay about that.
And how did you arrive at this conclusion, if I may ask?
Well, that's a really good question. I think growing up, I wasn't really involved in like the church, or like my parents are Buddhists. Wasn't really involved in like the temple or anything, and they never really pushed these views on me. But based on what I've gathered through school and stuff, that's the conclusion I came to.
Yeah, so basically with the whole Jewish like principle, at least how I was taught, was that heaven and hell do exist, but hell is like temporary rather than being like a place for bad people. It's like instead hell is a place where you can get like cleansed and then let go of these like bad things, and then you move to heaven later.
Okay. So very similar in a sense to the Catholic purgatory. Kind of.
Yeah. What I was like told specifically word for word is that the Jews pretty much only believe in a purgatory, not necessarily a permanent hell. Yeah.
But you don't personally believe in this?
No.
Okay. And neither of you do. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. That was pretty much it. Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm back. As you guys saw from the short interviews we did, lots of people don't actually believe in heaven and hell. There were some who talked about hell as an experience, such as this current pandemic state right now. Hansen asked them how they came to determine whatever conclusion they had made. And pretty much all of them said it was a combination of what they grew up with and their own thoughts and observations. Well, the problem with that is that human experience and human reasoning becomes the source of truth, when we have all the truth we really need right here in the Bible. First of all, the Bible tells us that heaven and hell are actual physical places. There isn't nothingness after someone dies. It also isn't just a mental state. In the Bible, we see that there are few places that talk about the afterlife. Usually when we refer to hell, what we actually have in mind is the lake of fire from Revelation. This is the final destination of those who reject Jesus Christ, as well as that of Satan and his minions. No one is actually there right now. For those who have died without accepting Christ, they are actually in this place called Hades, the realm of the dead. From Luke 16, we know that there are two sides of this realm of the dead. The rich man goes to one side where he suffers greatly, while Lazarus goes to the other, which is described as Abraham's bosom. In between is a great chasm from what we see in Luke 16 starting in verse 19. There's another place called the abyss that is different from Hades and hell. That's where Satan is going to be imprisoned during the millennial kingdom in Revelation 20. In Luke 8:31, it's also where the demons beg Jesus not to send them to. And then there is heaven, which is the dwelling place of God. the holy angels, and those who have died but believed in Christ. Hebrews 12:23 speaks of the general assembly of the church of the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven. And for those who are still alive on earth but are in Christ, their names are written in heaven, and their citizenship is in heaven, as is their reward. Heaven and hell are absolutely real places. If you want to know more about them that we haven't been able to cover in this video, leave a comment down below. If hell terrifies you and you don't want to go down there, leave a comment down below. If you like this format better, let us know. Make sure to like and subscribe for future videos. This is the offensive line with Just Josh, teaching you defense to prepare you for the best offense.
So we're here on the UCSD campus, a public area. We want to just take a survey of people and what they believe about heaven and hell. So our first person that we wanted to ask, what do you believe about heaven and hell? All right, he has no comment.